Michael Jackson's final show wasn't supposed to be mysterious. It was supposed to be a celebration, the last victory lap of a tour that had already made history. Backstage, everything looked normal. The countdown boards, the costume racks, the headsets barking cues, the crew moving like a trained machine. But minutes before he walked out, someone noticed one small thing that didn't belong there. A secret note taped inside his mirror, and what it said changed the way everyone remembered that night. It was 1992, in Tokyo, inside a stadium that felt like a living organism. Outside, fans had been lined up since morning. Inside, the roar came in waves, sometimes loud enough to rattle the walls, sometimes quiet enough that you could hear the stage rigging creak. Backstage, the final show of a tour is always strange. It's not just another night, it's a last time. The last time a dancer hits that mark. The last time a tech hears the same guitar intro through their headset. The last time the stage manager counts down a show they've been counting down for months. People get sentimental in small ways. A crew member writes their name on the inside of a road case. Someone takes a Polaroid in a hallway where photos aren't usually allowed. Someone hugs a little longer than usual. And Michael, on the final show, was quieter than the crew expected. Not nervous, not shaky. Quiet, like someone who was listening to something inside his own head. The stage manager that night was a man named Tom Reyes, and Tom had worked enough tours to recognize patterns. Final shows usually meant big energy backstage, jokes, relief, people half celebrating before the first song even started. But that night, the hallway near Michael's dressing room felt different, softer, slower. Tom saw Michael pass once, wearing a simple dark jacket, hair pulled back, no stage sparkle yet. He wasn't surrounded by chaos, he wasn't laughing with dancers. He was just walking, head slightly down, like he was heading toward a private room inside himself. Tom checked his headset, checked his clipboard, checked his watch. 10 minutes to places. When Tom reached the dressing room corridor, he saw Lena, one of the makeup artists, standing just outside Michael's room with a small tray of supplies. Lena had been with the tour long enough to know the rhythm. She was efficient, calm, and normally unshakable. But right now she wasn't moving. She was staring through the half-open door, frozen. Tom stepped closer. "Lena," he whispered, "we're tight on time." Lena didn't answer. Tom frowned and leaned slightly so he could see past her. Inside, Michael's dressing room was lit by mirror bulbs, warm light, soft shadows, costumes hung neatly, shoes lined up like they were waiting for permission. A glass of water sat untouched on the counter, and in the mirror, taped right near the center at eye level, was a small folded note. Not a printed note, handwritten, simple. Michael was standing in front of the mirror, staring at it like it was the only thing in the room. He didn't notice Tom or Lena at first, he just read it, then read it again. Then pressed 2 fingers against the edge of the paper like he needed to feel it to make it real. Tom had seen set lists, he'd seen cue sheets, he'd seen little reminders, batteries, mic pack, gloves. This wasn't that. Lena finally found her voice, barely a whisper. He put it there. Tom's eyes stayed on the note. When? Lena swallowed. Earlier, when everyone was busy, he asked for the room alone for a minute. Michael reached up and touched the note again, then slowly peeled the tape back and unfolded the paper. His hand was steady, but his breathing wasn't. He read it one more time. And Tom, standing just far enough away to be respectful, just close enough to feel the gravity, caught a glimpse of the words. They weren't poetic, they weren't dramatic, they were human. Tonight, don't be perfect, be present. Look up, listen. Leave them with love. Tom felt his throat tighten without warning, because those weren't the words of someone chasing applause. Those were the words of someone trying to remember who he was underneath the noise. Michael folded the note carefully and held it in his hand for a second, like a fragile thing you don't want to crease. Then he looked up, finally noticing Tom and Lena in the doorway. For a moment, he looked almost embarrassed, like he'd been caught doing something private. Lena immediately looked down. "Sorry," she murmured. "I didn't mean to—" Michael shook his head gently. "No," he said. "It's okay." Tom cleared his throat, trying to sound like a professional again. "We're at 10 to places," he said softly. Michael nodded, but he didn't move right away. He looked at the note again. Then he did something small that Tom would never forget. He took a pen from the counter and added one more line at the bottom. Just 4 words. I'm still that kid. He paused like he surprised himself with that line. Then he taped the note back inside the mirror, exactly where it had been, dead center at eye level, like he wanted to see it one last time before the world saw him. Michael turned toward Lena and held out his hand slightly. Let's do it, he said. Lena stepped in quickly, hands steady now, doing what she always did, fixing the small details the camera never forgives. Powder, collar, hairline, the kind of work that keeps the machine running. But Tom could see something else now. Michael wasn't just preparing to perform, he was preparing to remember. As Lena worked, Tom caught himself staring at the note again. The words were so simple, but they felt like instructions for surviving fame. Be present, look up, listen, leave them with love. Backstage, the countdown tightened. 5 minutes. Dancers lined up in the wings like silhouettes. The band checked in ears. A tech adjusted a mic pack and tapped it twice. The stage floor vibrated faintly from the crowd's roar beyond the wall. Tom moved into position and called cues into his headset. Places in 2. Michael stood now, fully dressed for the first number, but not in the exaggerated way people imagine. There was no dramatic slow-motion moment, just a man in costume, breathing, eyes forward. Then he glanced back at his mirror, at the note. He didn't read it again. He didn't touch it. He just looked at it once, like you look at a photograph you've carried too long. Then he walked toward the stage entrance. The moment the door opened, the sound hit like heat. The stadium screamed. Tom watched Michael step into the light, and he expected the usual. Precision, power, the unstoppable rush of a superstar doing what he always did. And yes, the opening hit landed, the choreography snapped, the band was tight, the crowd became a wave. But something was different. Michael kept looking up, not just scanning, looking. During the first big chorus, he stopped for half a beat and just watched the audience, like he was making sure they were real and he was real, and the moment was happening now, not in a magazine or a replay. Later, during a slower song, he did something Tom had never seen him do on this tour. He took a step to the edge of the stage and let the crowd quiet down on their own instead of forcing the moment with a speech. He waited. Then he said softly, "Thank you for coming all the way here." Simple. No showbiz line, no grand statement. The stadium responded with a kind of sound that wasn't screaming. It was gratitude. Tom's headset crackled with crew reactions. "Is he okay?" someone whispered. "He's better than okay," someone else answered. "He's different." The show continued, hit after hit, costume changes, a flawless machine of lights and sound. But the final show feeling started spreading from backstage into the crowd. People sensed it without being told. Fans held their hands to their chests. Some cried, some looked at each other like, this matters more than normal. Then came the last section, the closer, the song everyone waited for. Michael stood center stage under a single spotlight while the band held the intro low and steady. The crowd's energy shifted from wild to reverent. This was the point where performers often go bigger, more fireworks, more power, more final moment. Michael did the opposite. He softened. He sang like the room was small. He didn't aim his voice at the farthest seat. He aimed it at the human part of the crowd, the part that wasn't screaming, the part that was listening. Tom watched from the wings and suddenly understood the note. Don't be perfect. Be present. Look up. Listen. Leave them with love. Michael reached the final chorus and didn't push his voice like he was trying to win. He let it breathe. He let the audience breathe. At the end, instead of doing the usual final pose, he lowered the microphone and said something that wasn't on any run sheet. "I don't know how to thank you," he said quietly, "so I'm just going to tell you the truth." The stadium went still. "I was a kid who wanted to be heard," he said. "And you heard me." He paused. "And tonight, I hear you." That was it. No speech, no good night. He just bowed, slow, sincere, and walked off stage. Backstage, the second he stepped through the door, The crew erupted the way they always do after a great show. Cheers, hugs, relief. But Michael didn't join the noise. He walked straight to his dressing room. Tom followed at a respectful distance, mostly because he needed to check that Michael was safe before the final loadout chaos began. When Michael reached the mirror, he stopped. The bulbs buzzed softly. The costumes looked suddenly lifeless on the hangers. Michael stared at the note again. Then he did something that made Tom's chest tighten. He smiled. Not a performance smile. A private one. He peeled the note off the mirror, folded it carefully, and put it into his jacket pocket like he planned to keep it for the rest of his life. Tom, standing near the doorway, couldn't help it. He spoke softly. "That note, did you write it?" Michael glanced up. "Part of it," he said. "Part of it was written for me." Tom swallowed. "By who?" Michael's eyes softened. "My mother," he said. "A long time ago, when I was a kid and I got scared before going on." Tom nodded slowly, like that explained everything and nothing at the same time. Michael looked down at his pocket where the note now rested. "She always told me," he said quietly, "don't chase perfect. Chase love." The hallway noise grew again. Crew moving, calling trucks, wrapping cables, the machine dismantling itself. Michael stood there for a moment, letting the noise happen around him without stepping into it. Then he looked at Tom and said something that sounded almost like a thank you, even though Tom hadn't done anything except witness it. "Tell them good job," Michael said. "I will," Tom replied. Michael nodded, and for a second he looked like that kid again. Not the myth, not the headline, just Michael. Someone who had learned to leave people with love because love was the only thing that didn't feel like noise. If this story stayed with you, please like and subscribe, and share it with someone who needs a reminder to be present while the moment is still here. Have you ever written yourself a note for a hard day, something you needed to remember? Tell us in the comments and hit the notification bell for more untold, documentary-style stories from the world of music.